They say opposites attract.
Well, how about these opposites? Daddies and sons.
You're listening to Daddy and Son.
A podcast where we explore the dynamics of daddy and son relationships, multi-generational views,
And everything else in between.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, daddies and sons, to another show that we call Daddy and Son.
Sons and daddies.
My name is Alex,
And I'm Norm.
and
Daddy Norm. Just
Daddy
so
Norm.
you know the difference out there.
correct. Those long-time listeners, those sons who have always had their ambitions set on a splendid daddy, they know who Norm is. So reach out to him. You know the email.
Well, I have yet to receive any, just to let you know.
How are you doing this week?
I'm doing great. I'm just a busy week, crazy busy. How about yours?
Honestly, I've been exhausted. I think I need at least 14 hours sleep.
And this is your new meds.
And yeah, my new meds have been taking a lot out of me. But you know what? This is in the words of Kim Kardashian, you have to get up off your ass and work. So I'm trying to juggle between these new medications and working 3 jobs, paycheck to paycheck in a city like.
Ooh.
What?
Either a scream or a bomb coming through the...
I tell you, downtown is a half a place.
Downtown Toronto, folks, is not a quiet place 22 hours of the day.
It's like, what was that?
Yes.
Why does this little girl sound like a bomb that's been dropped in World War II? But I digress.
Yes, exactly. It did sound like a
what?
whistling bomb. Yeah.
but
Anyway. And it's going to get even busier with FIFA coming in 3 or 4 weeks.
I know. Thank goodness I will not be here. I will be cutting out, zoning out, because this street particularly
this whole area
is going to be a mess.
Don't try to drive around here. You'll have trouble. Jarvis is going to be all locked up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Which is why I'm leaving for the month.
That's not bad.
And I'll be back afterwards.
And I hope you're not going to be driving on the Don Valley Parkway this weekend because it's closed.
Am I going to be on the DVP this weekend?
Or any north-south route?
I will be. You know what?
And there's a football game and a baseball game. There's all kinds of crap going on. A race. There's this downtown Toronto. They want to do everything in a tiny
and
little
Bruno
area
Mars will be here
Bruno
performing.
Mars? Oh,
yeah.
really?
So it's going to be a very busy weekend. But the only out of town trip or driving I have planned is I am doing mattress shopping. I'm trying to get a new bed. And I actually was going to wait to discuss this, and I will probably at detail next week. I wanted to just do an episode where I talk to you about, what's in your cart, do you have tabs online that you have open? Because I'm a chronic online shopper. So I always have tabs open with things that I've been looking at that I just haven't clicked the checkout button yet.
Like it's in your cart?
Yes.
But it's not out of your bank account.
Correct.
I see.
I'm just like, the credit card is feeling a little bit hot right now.
We call them cart boys.
When a credit card is hot, so you have to just give it a breather before you tap again or you spend again. Mm-hmm. I'm going through that period. The credit card is hot.
Yeah, you're a cart boy, but not a card boy.
There we go.
Yes.
So one of the things that I have in my shopping cart and my mini tabs are different mattresses that I've been looking at.
Mattresses.
Yeah.
What did you call it?
Mattress.
Mattress who?
That's how we pronunciate it in the Caribbean. We say mattress.
Well, that's something that you lie on when you go to sleep, folks, just in case you're still having trouble understanding.
So I'm doing some serious research, but next week we'll talk about that because I really want to get your opinion on this and on other things that may be in your cart. I'm curious.
If you have no trouble falling asleep for 14 hours, you don't need a new fucking mattress.
My back hurts when I get up, though.
Oh, then you need a good
I've
strong
had mine
mattress.
for at least 9 years.
Oh, no,
It's time for a new one.
Go to what do they call that place?
Sleep Country.
Yeah, that's where I bought my stuff.
No.
Sleep Country, Canada. Makes you go to sleep when you listen to their commercials.
No, thank you. I'll pass. I want to.
Why?
Because I want to go directly to the company. So I want to take out the middleman, first of all. And secondly, I also want to support Canadian companies. So,
Sleep Country
all the
supply.
tabs that I have are not a Canadian company. Sleep Country is a Canadian company, but they get mattresses from different parts of the world and the United States.
And Canada,
The companies
probably.
that I'm going to, there are the companies that have it on my thing, like Tufton Needle.
Okay, I've never heard of those. So they're Canadian. They're Canadian
Douglas. These are Canadian. Casper. These are Canadian companies. One is in Ontario. One is actually up in Vaughan. So I'm planning to go
still
on
Ontario.
Sunday. The others.
No, you don't want to go to Vaughan on Sunday. The traffic is going to be a mess. Anyway, go ahead.
The others are based in Vancouver. Like Tufton Needle is based in Vancouver, but they're all Canadian startups. And
I'm sure they'd be glad to sell you a mattress for $900, and it'll cost you $500 to ship it here.
Oh no, the shipping is free.
Oh, okay.
If you spend over $1,000, the shipping is free.
Okay, it's a $1,400 mattress.
And they have right now they're having a Victoria Day sale. So I'm really I want to use up the sale.
Okay, here's the difference between a boomer and a Gen Z. I want to sit or lie on a mattress I'm going to buy. You're prepared to buy it right off the web.
Yeah.
Same with clothes, same with shoes. I got to try stuff on. I like to touch it and feel it.
Okay, so the conversation with you about what is in your
Goes for men too, but anyway, that's enough.
the conversation about what is in your tab, what is in your cart online, that probably will be lost on you then. Well,
I ordered something online today.
Oh, okay. So you do have tabs.
Of course I do.
Oh, okay. But when it comes down to clothes and the old school mattress, you like to go in and bounce.
Yeah, I don't buy stuff that you should try on first. Very
Interesting.
rarely. And when I do, I inevitably buy something from Asia that is too short on the pant or in the arm.
Well, that's why you have return policies. Return is there for a reason, Daddy.
Oh, who wants to bother with that?
I'll be going down to the Canada Post all the time. The Asian lady who works at the one on Lower Jarvis, she knows me by name right now. I walked in yesterday to return my smart thermostat that I wanted to install, and because I bought an Ecobee, and I was like, okay, I'm going to return this because it's not the right model that's compatible with my HVAC system. I was just like, what are you returning today? And I was like, Miss Chen, just scan and let's go. Just scan, let's go. But yeah, I'm always walking over returning stuff all the time.
It reminds me of someone else who I've told you about who does the very same thing. In fact, I have to print his return labels. That's my contribution to the effort.
So, well, at least I have my own printer. I have a nice printer, fax machine, and scanner all in one.
Oh, fax machine. Too.
I know.
That's pretty good.
It does faxes too, which has become very useful because to this day, doctors' offices and pharmacies in Canada they only prefer faxing your prescription. So when I get my requisitions from my doctor, I just fax them over. So it actually is quite useful to still have a fax machine.
Facility on my printer. Well, good for you. Good for you.
So, but anyhow, with that being said, today is a Norm production.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this theme before, but I came across this picture in The Economist last week. A picture of Trump, Putin, and Xi There could have been other people. And the subtitle was, "Why are all these men in their 70s running these countries?" And I thought, you know what? Let's talk about leadership and age. And when I think about it, when you think of Starmer, who took a big hit yesterday in Britain, white hair, older guy. Merzer in Deutschland, in some political trouble as well. It's interesting. All of these people, with the exception of Xi, are in political trouble. But I guess the question is it right that countries should be run by people with gray hair?
And I would say she's not necessarily in trouble either. I
don't think he's in trouble.
He's
No.
well liked by his people.
Well, he's certainly, if he isn't, you wouldn't know about it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't exactly tolerate dissent or communicate dissent.
That is true. That is true.
And he dyes his hair, so he doesn't count as white hair.
The people, my contacts in China, through my work, the information that I know on the ground is that, and I've always said this to people,
this is interesting.
you have to understand way of life for different people. Just as how in the U.S., they are very, 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 very anti-socialist, right?
For the most part.
I think more so than we are in Canada, because we have a mixed economy.
Yeah, we're more of a left of center.
A left of center country. And we have very, very left countries like Finland, right? Or Norway. And those people are quite happy with that system. You have to understand that way of life for different people, culture does shape how people, their level of satisfaction. And
satisfaction, yeah.
Yeah,
and you talk to people in China that tell you this,
and from the people on the ground, personally through friends of mine who own multiple businesses in China, as well as through my work, the intelligence community, what we are hearing on the ground is, and from people in China, is that they are quite happy with the management of the country. They're quite happy with their government.
They're in the cities and they're wealthy people.
The issue with China, and I think
we want to visit China, don't we? Have you been to China?
Well, yes. And
I want to go to China.
The issue with China and the West is, what the issue with us in the West is that we do not respect when other countries operate in a different posture than we do. It's almost as though if it's not in our image, we don't understand it. And it's not just through governance either. It's through everyday way of life. Take, for instance, if we see someone in a burqa on the street, we all stop and stare. It's kind of weird. We feel odd about it. But there are millions, even billions of people on the opposite side of the world where this is just very normal. We, as an example, there are certain things here that we allow and that are okay that in opposite sides of the world would not be allowed or isn't okay, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I think once we open up our minds to understanding that cultures are different in different parts of the world, and
China's very different.
And not everywhere has a democratic process, and that is okay.
Exactly.
And that is okay.
But people want personal freedom everywhere.
I don't know if that is particularly true.
They may not want financial personal freedom, but they want to be able to communicate with each other and I think in Russia, for instance, I think they resent not being able to use the internet very much.
Well, and again,
but maybe in China they can't use the internet. They can't use Instagram. They can't use Facebook.
Well,
But they have other options there, don't they?
they have tons of other options over there. You see, China doesn't use China doesn't use www. They don't use the World Wide Web. But almost for everything that we have over here, they have a version of it that's actually way better.
So when they go on a browser, what do they type? Or they don't even use a browser?
They use a browser, but the user agent is different. As an example, their version of Google's DuckDuckGo, their version of WhatsApp would be WeChat.
Yeah.
Their version of Instagram would be RedNote, and it's highly sophisticated. It's a highly sophisticated app. You could use their version of WeChat. You could use it to it's not only linked to your bank account. You can use it to book order in food. You can use it to book like a taxi or ride sharing. You can use it for car rentals. You can literally also use it to literally tap and give money to a tip or a homeless person. It is highly sophisticated technology.
You mean you can wirelessly send money to homeless people in China? Because that's something you cannot do here.
Yes, you can.
Because whenever I walk by a homeless person, I just say, sorry, I have no change.
That literally, that I'm not making this up.
How would they receive it? They'd have to have a phone, obviously.
Well, again, the technology there is significantly cheaper, so it's more accessible than it is here. And again,
You're saying a smartphone is cheaper in China?
honey, not only is a smartphone cheaper in China, but their vehicles are significantly cheaper.
Are they subsidized by the government?
Take for an example a Tesla. A Model X would be over $100,000 here in North America, but in China, a Chinese-made EV is literally under $20,000.
Oh yeah, okay. The Chinese-made equivalent of
the
that.
Chinese-made equivalent of whatever we have here is sold very differently, and it's not because it's subsidized, but it's because population to demand. Right, supply and demand. And the second part is you have to understand capitalism runs differently here than it does there.
They have a form of capitalism. It's more of a state capitalism in some ways.
Correct. And we tend to have...
Is that a person, a bird, or...
Oh, no, that's a person.
Okay. I don't have my glasses on.
Oh, he's looking across the street on the balcony. There's somebody leaning over. That's a person.
Yeah, I don't have my reading glasses, my distance glasses on, folks.
And you have to understand that while we have a habit here of marking stuff up because to like sometimes 300, 400%, because the people, the value added here is not to the consumer. The responsibility is not to the consumer. The responsibility is to the shareholder. As an example, if you're running an AI organization here versus running an AI organization, so I'm going to speak to what I know specifically. If you're running an AI organization in China, right, you can literally get assistance through the Chinese government, through the CPP, as well as through other investors, and all you have to turn is a profit maybe by 4 to 5 times. If you are in the US and you're turning profit by 4 times in an AI or a tech organization, you are not doing enough. The only way you'll be able to get money and retain investors is if you're doing at minimum 10 times.
Well, that is another topic for another day. By the way, AI companies aren't making any money right now, so
I don't know if that is particularly true. I would say
they aren't making.
I would say that there are some companies that aren't. As an example, I think the intervention with Intel has made their stock heavily overpriced for the earnings that it is receiving. But as an example, TPUs that are coming out of Google are significantly cheaper, take half the amount of money to make than GPUs that NVIDIA, as an example, are creating, or even AMD are creating. So companies like those, right now, their stocks are actually doing really, 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 really well. Same thing for Google Cloud. Stock is doing extremely well. However, when you have companies like OpenAI that are going under,
it's the AI companies that are struggling.
They are currently in a net loss.
Yes, correct.
But when you juxtaposition that to a company that takes a lot less money to run their operation, but they're doing significantly times more because their audience is different, like Anthropic. they are actually not catering to everyday consumers. They're doing B2B.
D&D.
And their stocks are going through the roof.
Their stocks are. The question is, are they profitable?
Absolutely.
I
For
know,
now.
I'm going to
For
check.
now.
Okay, I'm
But
going
that's
to
because
research that because my impression is that the AI, Anthropic might be. I don't think AI is, or whatever what's his name's company, right? It's
Sam Altman.
yeah. He's not profitable right now.
OpenAI right now is not. But again,
okay. All right, fair enough.
they made a series of business decisions that had put them at where they are right now. So it's not just about the product itself, but it's what you do with the product.
But you're absolutely right. The market is looking at these companies and they're bidding up the price. I mean, I look at my portfolio.
The issue is when you have a company like Anthropic who is doing multi-million-dollar deals with other organizations, including the U.S. government with the Pentagon, they're doing multi-billion-dollar deals for yearly contracts. Well, OpenAI is focused on consumers, the everyday consumer, but the average person isn't spending $60, $20 a month for a subscription for AI.
Well, let me ask you that. Would you pay $20 or $30 a month for a ChatGPT subscription?
No.
Because do you think that's coming?
It already does exist. There's a premium,
right, there is
the premium version that exists and the cheapest version of the premium is $25 per month. But no, I wouldn't do it.
How long do you think it'll be free? That's really the question.
The free version, the limited version
Yeah.
that you get all those hallucinations from, I believe that it will be free for at least another year.
You get all those hallucinations from?
Oh, I have screenshots. It's another podcast topic, but I've been taking screenshots
Of answers that you get when you...
I've had to check ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, because it was going back and forth with me, and I'm like, no, that's incorrect.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT said, well, she's standing on business. So what I had to do was then bring evidence and propose to ChatGPT. Then ChatGPT is going to say, oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. You're right to come forward with this evidence. Maybe if you'd come forward with the evidence before, I'd be able to provide you with the correct answer. And I was like,
baloney.
No, you're supposed to be the seer. You're supposed to be the oracle. You're supposed to be the all-knowing.
Listen, I had an experience like that when I was researching going to Portugal a couple of years ago, and I was looking for directions to go from point A to point B. And I remember looking at the map and thinking, well, this is how you do this. So I asked ChatGPT, and it gave me, well, when you come out of the station, turn left. And I said to them afterward, I said, are you sure it's a left turn out of the station? And ChatGPT looked at me and said, well, it didn't look at me, it paused, and said, oh, correction, you're right. It is a right turn. Thank you, or something like that. I'd never corrected AI before. There it was.
Yeah, it's happening more and more. And when we talk about this AI bust, I think, yes, it's going to lead to a financial bust, but I think this is where it's going to start.
Well, I
it's
hope
going to
not,
start
because
with a product that is not useful, because right now in the tech industry, everyone, and I mean everyone, at least 72% of tech companies have divested heavily into AI. And what's going to end up happening, they're going to realize that this is not a reliable product. And then you're going to see another uptick in human employment again. But right now, because of all this heavy investment in AI, what you're seeing is that to recuperate the costs, one of the perfect examples with the acquisition of Warner Brothers from Paramount, what you see happening is that they have to start letting go of talent, particularly in areas that are specific to creative, such as writing.
Because AI can do it.
Because AI and graphic design, because AI can do it. But they're going to start realizing that AI is not a reliable product.
All right. Well, let's bring this gradually back to some form of the original topic, which was,
yes,
can AI...
It's not even AI. The original topic was around world leaders.
World leadership. And maybe the question is, are they the best type of people to deal with the AI onslaught and the policy and regulatory changes that are going to need to take place to prevent the kind of stuff you were talking about a year ago destruction?
It depends. The issue is, in the words of Miranda Priestley, a lot of the leaders in the West, they're not visionaries. They're vendors. And we need leadership right now that are visionary.
We're sure not going to get it from the south of the border.
And again, I hate to go back to the whole AI topic. Again, part of the reason I'll use these analogies and examples.
It's an example. Go ahead.
Because again, I'm speaking to what I know specifically through the industry that I work in. And part of the reason, again, a lot of people are putting so much money into artificial intelligence, and they think that the bubble is gonna, the bust is gonna come from the, particularly from the cost of the product. But no, it's deeper than that. It's not coming from the cost of the products or even the cost of production, such as GPU. It's coming from the cost of power.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
the constraining factor.
That's the constraining factor.
I totally agree with you.
It's the power. And when you
See,
look,
Daddy knows a few things about this. This is amazing.
Look
You're
at you.
impressed, aren't you?
I am quite.
You get your, and by the way, for everybody's listening, we get our information from different sources. A lot of yours comes from just, you're in the tech world.
Correct.
What I read is the New York Times, The Economist, The Atlantic. I'm reading, you sleep at this. Well, I do fall asleep sometimes, really, I confess. But, they're saying the same thing. I mean,
I'll put it this way. I'm pretty sure a lot of what you're reading in The Economist is being reported from people.
That's very reliable.
They are
publication.
probably interviewing people who work in my industry and getting the same information.
They are probably one of the best
You're getting your
news
information
publications in the world.
You're getting your information third hand through journalism, through journalistic reporting,
Yes.
with integrity, and I get my report from doing
Secondhand.
R&D at work.
Yeah, secondhand.
Because a big part of my job requirements as a GRC director is, like, right now I'm overseeing our SOC 2 audit, and a big part of, if you don't know what SOC 2 stands for,
What are the words?
SOC,
SOC.
Service Organization Control.
Uh-huh.
So SOC 2 compliance is for supply chain. So because we own multiple data centers, one in which right now we are trying to remove and get additional stacks in and renovate. And being a part of that, being a part of the governance, the risk management. So it's a big. There are different moving parts. My part is just risk management, risk analysis, governance, and risk analysis.
Of adding stacks, you mean a computer power?
Data stacks. So servers.
Servers, okay.
Correct.
Right, yeah.
And a big part of that is understanding cost, understanding the energy infrastructure, understanding where we are having this data center, how it's going to affect the grid, how it's going to affect the community, doing ethical IT practices.
It's amazing. What an
in
amazing
that area.
You got an amazing job.
And it's a lot of it is coming from first-hand knowledge, again, because of what I do.
I respect that.
When I look at China versus here in Canada and the US, and I've said this before previously, is that the cost of power is significantly different. In fact, it takes 50 cents on the dollar to run an AI data center in China as it does here in Canada or the United States.
Half the cost?
Half the cost. And it's only going down. And part of that is because China, especially since the pandemic, has spent significant amount of money
on renewable
divesting
energy.
into renewable
Yes.
energy.
Yep.
And even with the pipeline that is the green light of the pipeline by Carney right now, while I do believe that we need to be releasing our infrastructure and our resources, natural
developing
resources.
our resources. Yeah, I agree
Right?
with you.
We cannot be, he's saying that we are doing this because of the Iran war, but we cannot be depending on oil. There was a time where, and we've had
Oil
at
will be
least 15 to 20 years to be working on this. So this isn't anything
But
new.
that's the non-visionariness that you were talking about.
So that's the non-visionary part that I'm talking about.
Our last prime minister for 10 years was not a visionary. He was in the wrong job.
We answer to big men in suits, literally fat men in suits.
Most of them white.
White men.
Most of them with some gray hair or all white hair like mine.
We
I do have
answer
white
to
hair, everybody.
to shareholders, not stakeholders, to shareholders. And that is, I think, that was one of the biggest problems with capitalism in the West, because it does, while it does promote competition in some cases, in the U.S. as an example, but not in Canada, because for us it's more for monopoly.
We're protected. Our government protects
I think
business
it does stifle innovation. It really, really does.
Well, yeah, because there's too much government protecting businesses.
And this is why I've been saying for the longest time, I don't think a lot of people realize, but the Trump government, as an example, especially after he was talking about bailing out Spirit, which I'm happy he didn't, because I've said this before, like Margaret Thatcher says, the issue with socialism is that when the money runs out, it's not yours, it's other people's money. Now, the issue...
Well, of course, you know, I'm happy to take whatever money the Treasury wishes to put into my pension. But anyway.
The biggest issue is the Trump government, as much as they like to say that they're old school conservatives and Republicans, is that they're actually only socially conservative, but physically they have been making very socialist moves, including when you look at the bailouts that they're and the corporate welfares that they've done.
But it's all to his cronies too. There's, you know what? You can't really. Trumpism is a different animal altogether. Let's.
Okay, well, fine. Let us, if you don't want to use Trump as an example, let's use Bibi. Benjamin Netanyahu.
Benjamin Netanyahu. I hear the word on the news all the time.
Netanyahu. Bless your soul.
Do you know what this reminds me of? This is a confession, when I was in kindergarten learning to write numbers, I couldn't write a 3 straight up. It was on its side. Can't pronounce Netanyahu.
So funny.
Anyway, let's use him as an example. Well, by the way, I saw something very interesting today. An interview with an Israeli public affairs guy said the United States is going to be changing its attitude to Israel because Trump now realizes Netanyahu,
just say Bibi.
Bibi pushed him into a war that's been unpopular and has caused him damage.
But a lot of this is done.
But wasn't he persuasive?
A lot of this is done on his side for multiple reasons. The reason why he's able to be so persuasive is because there's money to be made. Money from missile production, money in the imperialism of natural resources in other countries that are in the surrounding area of the Middle East. And most importantly, to avoid jail time. The longer that, the same thing that they were accusing Comedy Zeke, Vladimir Zelensky, of doing, which is, staying in power and not running an election because there's a war. Granted, it is in their constitution that once they're in war, they cannot hold an election. He is doing the same thing because it's the same part of the Constitution of Israel that once they're in a war, they cannot hold an election. However,
I see.
He has had multiple criminal indictments that he has also been putting off and using the war as an excuse. So this is also to his benefit as well. Who does that remind you of?
Trump.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
The issue, so people like to say, oh, Israel is the West country of the Middle East. And it absolutely is. But again, it goes back to my first initial statement. Understanding value systems and respecting them. I think for a lot of people in the West, we are wired to think that this is right and wrong.
Yeah, I know
And
what you mean.
maybe what we shouldn't be looking at things is whether it is right or wrong. What we should be looking at it is from a different perspective. Is this working or is it not working?
I would add, and is what they're doing helping the world economy or not helping the world economy?
Good.
You
Let
know?
us go there. I'm glad that you mentioned
You know,
that. Let us go there.
Because I do want to. I'm fascinated with China. They are far ahead in so many ways. I want to see this. I want to see their rail systems. I want to see their
mere
history.
fact that the distance in the provincial distance between Chengdu and Shanghai is literally not even Chengdu to Beijing. Chengdu to Beijing, it would be like going from Toronto to New Brunswick. And the mere fact that you can get on a high-speed train that goes between 300 to 500 kilometers per hour, and you can get from Toronto to New Brunswick in under 14 hours, to me, says a lot. Why is it that in a country, Canada, that we have our own, again, having our own resources, instead of making it public, I believe that we should be making it, between making it privatized, we should make this nationalized resources that we're freeing up so that the money can at least directly go back. And we can say, oh, we can get that money back in taxes, but we know tax is all dependent on bills and laws that are passed that can also give the top 1% a heavy tax break. So that is not really trickling down to us. And we can always use the excuse of jobs. And I mean, really, when we talk about project management, let's look into the project management of it. How many jobs will this provide? And even when we talk about the jobs that will provide, what's the longevity of this?
Are you talking about building a railroad across the country here? Or is
That's exactly what we should be doing.
Well, we did that in 1860s or in 1870s or whenever we built it, which was a huge, amazing technological and human achievement.
But a lot has happened since the building of the locomotion.
The locomotive.
The invention of the locomotive.
Yes.
Do the locomotion. Sorry, Con.
Well, let's go back to the three leaders.
But looking at, before we do that, you mentioned something about the interest in global economics. I think what is happening right now, especially we've heard this Canada first, America first, UK first. We hear this a lot of nationalism and tribalism. Israel first. We hear this all the time. But what happens to the major global economy or the global interest? One thing I will say about Russia and China at this time, as much as I'm not saying that I'm backing their leadership, but they do have a vested interest in the global, the vested interest in global economics and into the vitality of the global interest.
So you think Russia has a vital interest in the?
They absolutely do.
Well, what does that mean? I mean, let's face it; they're a non-player compared to China. Russia is not nearly as important. You know, they're decompressing right now.
I disagree.
Putin is under a lot of pressure.
Between Russia and China, they've been around for hundreds of thousands. In fact,
but
China's been around for over 5,000 years, and they'll still continue to be around long after the United States collapses as an economy and as a country.
Well, Putin is in power because of his political and because of he's got the KGB behind him.
Correct. But let us put it this way.
He's not much of an economic leader.
When I speak about global interest,
okay,
I'm talking about how Russia has pumped billions of dollars into other African nations and Caribbean nations. China has done the same, forming an alliance.
They've pumped oil into those countries, but not a hell of a lot else.
No, not just oil. Mineral enrichment, etc. They've done that. Same thing for infrastructure in parts of Africa, and this is why a lot of African nations have stepped away from USAID long before Doge had come in and gutted those initiatives.
Okay, I don't know that, but that's interesting information. I hadn't heard that.
If you are unaware, there are quite a few African countries that have risen up since even the Biden administration. Most importantly, Nigeria and Niger. And that's part of the reason why Trump decided that he was going to bomb Nigeria, and nobody's talking about it. But this is because, again,
he's not going to bomb Nigeria.
Yeah, he did bomb Nigeria.
Did he actually go after that little group in the top end there? Yeah, he was going to. There was a little area where he was.
But you know what else?
He threatened to do it. Did he actually do it?
He actually did it. But you know what else is there? A lot of uranium. I'm talking about stockpiles of uranium to be mined.
Comrade, the state of Nigeria, we want that.
That enough that could power at least 2 out of 3 homes in Europe right now. So when I'm talking, when you see these things happening and you see the Russians and the Chinese coming in and they're not forcing themselves in, they're not saying we will take over your country. They're not saying do what we say or else. They're making deals. They're doing fair trade. That's what I'm talking.
They're making deals that say, you can have this, but you've got to trade with us. You've got to give us your resources.
But you know how much of a better deal that you have to be giving these people for them to tell the United States to go fuck themselves?
If they're getting
Think about it that way, Norm. Do you know how much... like I said to somebody the other day, because they're like, oh, the birth rate is down. I'm like, do you know how much you have to traumatize a whole generation of people for millennials to say, we don't want to have kids?
It's already happened.
I don't think people understand it because they're not asking the important questions. Now, the issue is Brand America has always been, oh, he's the obnoxious guy in the room. He's loud. He's hot. He has a 6-pack. He wears the cowboy boots and the cowboy hat. But even though he's obnoxious, he also has a kind heart. He helps the old lady across the street. He throws the baseball back to the kids. When people are in need, he's coming out of his pocket and picking up the bill at the restaurant. That was Brand America. Brand America was that person personified.
Yeah, generous.
And now they've become the assholes of the world. Even when we're talking about global interest and deals, I won't get to national interest because that's really what we're talking about. But because you brought up global interest, even when we're talking about global interest, it is not within our interest to have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 wars going on simultaneously across the world.
Well, here's something the Economist said today. China could be helping to stop a lot of those wars, and they're quite happy to sit on the sidelines, poke the players, keep them going.
Oh, absolutely. And again,
because they gain from it.
Not only do they gain from it, but it is of little impact to them as possible. The major impact to China right now in this war is getting
oil.
Is getting
oil from the strait.
It's getting oil from the strait.
Yeah.
But you're also talking about a society that is not as dependent on oil as we are in the West or even in Europe.
Well, they could also be doing more they're supplying the Russians in the Ukraine war. They could stop doing that. That's one of the things that I don't think Xi is helping the world economy by propagating a war.
Well, he's not propagating a war.
He's helping the Russians continue it. And Putin, by the way, is his popularity, and he's on his way out from what I'm reading. It's going to happen.
Propaganda is strong over there. I wouldn't count on it, but I digress.
Comrade, I have sources as well as you do.
When we look at national interest now, whether I've already spoken about Carney, let's look to Trump. He ran on multiple promises.
Let me ask you
Lowering
a
the
question. Interrupt you. Do you think he'll finish his term?
I think so.
Carry on.
I don't see. I think people have been talking about impeachment, but I don't think impeachment is a conversation. Hold on. I don't think impeachment is a conversation we need to have. We've tried to impeach him twice.
It'll be health. It'll be health.
We've tried to impeach him twice. It never worked. People don't care about that right now.
No, impeachment won't happen. I think it's health. But anyway, carry on.
And I've said this before. I think only the good die young.
Democrats are not going to win the Senate, so there won't be an impeachment.
Only the good die young, and Trump ain't good, so he's not going to go anywhere.
Can we record that in today in May? Democrats are not going to win the Senate, so there will be no impeachment. Okay, carry on.
We can't put it there. I mean, it was a big win for them back in Indiana and Louisiana just last week. So I completely agree that there is verisimilitude to this. I think it's too early to say, but again, national interest. When we look at the things that he ran on, lowering the price of eggs and milk, so affordability, which all of a sudden became a hoax. We talk about gas prices.
No check.
Healthcare.
No
literally
check.
Gutted.
Yeah.
Right? I think...
Peace in the Middle East. No check.
Peace in the Middle East, worse than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I think the people who are, of course, there are, these, I wouldn't say brainwashed people, but there are cultists who will follow the Trump movement, the MAGA movement, the MAGA people.
Cultist is a good word.
He can do no wrong.
Yep.
And those people will forever remain, but I believe those people maybe make up 14 to 15% of the party. And then you have the rest who maybe voted for him, maybe because they saw the vision or they bought into the idea that this celebrity from TV on The Apprentice could make the country better. And what's going to end up happening is these people will just probably not show up to the polls. They won't vote Democrat, but they'll choose the couch.
Well, we will know in less than 6 months. And you know what? 6 months comes by, happens fast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it'll be here in no time.
I mean, in a couple of weeks, it's already Pride Month. So I'm already shocked how Q2 is like finished. I'm just like, wait, what?
You're a true business when you start talking. You're a true businessman when you start talking about Q2s and Q1s. And
I'm just like, what happened? Where was I?
I know. Well, you're right. We're almost halfway. Well, when I come back from my trip, we'll be almost halfway through the year.
I'm like, where was I?
I'm 6-7 weeks from my next birthday.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting older, but you still look fresh.
I'm getting old. Older, yes, old.
Well, so yeah, that's my take on these particular world leaders and where they sit into the global interest and the national interest of things.
Let me ask you a question. If I were to go to China today, what should I want to see? What would be the 4 or 5 things I want to see in China? It doesn't have to be a specific place but what do I want to observe when I'm there?
My interests and your interests are very different things.
Okay, tell me what yours are.
Because I didn't care for stuff like going to see the Great Wall or stuff like that.
Oh, really?
No, or going to the Nest. No, for me, it's
the Nest. You mean the where the Warriors are?
The largest stadium in the world.
Oh, okay. Well, I definitely want to see the Great Wall. I agree with you on the stadium and stuff. That doesn't.
For me, it was about nature.
Yeah.
For me, it was about meeting people. For me, it was about the food. So
What about train systems? What about
meeting. Those are cute. Those are fine.
Okay.
But for me, it's about meeting people, building friendships, so that I can go back again.
And what's their language ability like? Do they speak English? Do they speak any English there?
In the city centers, yes. Most young people, yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
And in certain provinces, it's almost like a second language.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Not everywhere, but in some provinces, yeah.
Well, I want to. I've traveled on a Japanese high-speed train in 1970. I want to do that in China one day. That is my next. I'm going to China next.
Well, I highly recommend it. I think that it's important for people to broaden their minds.
Yeah.
Not to go to another country with the intention that life must exist in the way in the unit in which you know it to exist, but to go to experience something different. And this is the word I'm using. I'm using my words. I'm choosing my words specifically to experience something differently because
I think
again,
it's great. That's why you want to travel.
a lot of us only travel because we want to go. One of the things that annoy me is when I go to places and I see other tourists and they're like, oh, nobody speaks English, and they complain that, oh, there's no McDonald's, or they complain about certain things.
Well,
I'm
that's
like,
American.
if you want that, then stay where you were. You didn't have to spend the money and come here if you wanted to speak English or if you wanted the McDonald's. You didn't have to do that. Stay home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you're going somewhere to experience a different way of life, it's not forever. It's for however long you're there. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or in my case, a month. It's for however long you're there and you experience the culture. You say thank you and you go home and you stack it up to how you live. And again, when I stacked up China to how I live,
Yeah.
I do see a net benefit.
Yes.
But again, I am not a selfish person, and I don't move the way how others here move. So for me, I saw a net benefit.
Going
But
to China.
for there's
I would. My brother and his wife were there visiting her brother and my brother's brother-in-law back in 10 years ago. Had a wonderful time.
our culture is built on individualism.
Yes.
From where children into even the way that we go to school. Remember, we go to school, it's all about going to the JC Penney's and the TJ Maxx and buying your clothing. So the first day of school, you want to show for your individual expression.
Yes.
Their culture is about community and collective expression.
Yeah. The state.
Right? It's when we say communism, it's not necessarily communism in the way in which we define it here. It's communism in the terms of everybody looks out for each other, and not in the oh, you do it because it's the right thing to do. You do it because it's what is culturally acceptable and appropriate.
But there are other examples of the opposite, where they decide to build a highway, and they kick the people out of their homes and don't try to. Sorry, folks, I had my drink in my hand instead of the microphone. My apologies.
Repeat that.
Yes, they are a state and sort of a collectivist society, but they have no regard for human rights and human conditions. They will expropriate property and not pay any money when they want to kick out people from a neighborhood to build a freeway or to build a new stadium. That's cruel.
We do the same thing here.
No, there's more rights for the people. You compensate. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we do the same thing here.
This has happened in China. I've read examples of it.
I didn't say it
happening.
didn't, but I say we do the same thing here.
Well, we would respect the individual right and the compensation. But what I wanted to say, to your point earlier...
No, I don't agree with that. And you know that is utter bullshit, Norm.
No, I've read it. I've read it in good publications.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about here. You and I can draw on multiple examples leading up to the Greenbelt scandal, to the pipelines in Middle Canada going to BC that is running through First Nation properties. We can talk about highways that were built that pushed lower income neighborhoods out. We can
But
talk
they were
about
compensated.
No, they absolutely were not
when
compensated.
you're taking somebody's property here, you have to compensate. It's called expropriation.
Giving someone a small amount of money that is not going to.
At least so that's a question. What's the value of it?
Compensation. If
Expropriation
giving
has
someone
compensation.
pittance is not a proper definition of compensation.
Well, it's better than nothing, and that's what they got in China. But let me go back to you made a good point a few minutes ago about people going overseas and having.
No, we're just pulling at straws
and expecting to see the same things they have at home, the same restaurants, the same language, the same everything else. But it reminds me of the American tourists that were in the UK not long ago, and they were on a tour of Stonehenge. And Stonehenge is where the Magna Carta was signed. And the guide was telling them the Magna Carta, which is a famous document, was signed in 1215. And the lady turned to her husband and said, Javi, we missed it by an hour and a half. You're not laughing. Well, that's an example of not having sensitivity to where your environment is.
You've told that one before.
You have a very good memory. You have. I have.
I think for me,
I didn't get the laugh of it
when
this
we
time.
when we start, and it goes back to my original statement about looking at things not between right and wrong, but thinking of things as whether what works and what doesn't work. Because you're saying, I don't think it's a good faith conversation to say, oh, something is better than nothing, when the society that they live in and the society that we live in are two completely different societies. The cost of living and the affordability in China is not the same of the cost of living and affordability here. So when we push people out of their neighborhoods that they have lived on for generations, or societies or communities that have been there for centuries to build infrastructure of any kind, and we don't compensate them properly. Yes, compensation exists, but you and I both know that compensation is not done properly, and we both know, just like this conversation, it's not done in good faith. And so the people's lives end up becoming hell, and people actually die from these upheavals. It changes and ruins lives. So when we're going to talk about oh, this happens here versus this happens here, the nuances are quite different. So let's not look at it as this is right or this is wrong. Let's look at things in the context and the broader picture of what it is, the country that it's happening in, and the options that are available to the people who are impacted by this.
All right, so in China, what was your experience with respect to, say, the cost of food in restaurants?
Oh.
Way cheaper?
Way cheaper.
Really?
Way cheaper.
So a reflection of the cost of living in North America versus cost of China.
Way cheaper.
Yeah.
It's so funny you should mention that, because I was having a conversation with this about this just last night, and I was saying that the restaurant culture here is fucked. We have, like an example, we have lots of restaurants here that we call bistros, right? Mm-hmm. And a bistro, by definition, is supposed to be a no-frills community mom and pop space in which you go to get very easygoing food for conversation.
Not a large menu.
And at minimal cost. Here, a bistro is somewhere that you go to and you're paying literally. A good example. Betsy's or Berksy's, or Biff's, as an example.
Oh God, that's not a bistro. That's a high-end restaurant.
Biff's is a bistro. It's called Biff's Bistro. It literally is a bistro.
Oh, yeah. Bring your credit card, folks.
And you literally for a single cover, but the budget is $100 per person.
I would agree. Yeah.
Right. Meanwhile, in an actual bistro, to where bistros were invented, which is it's a Parisian term, bistros in Paris, you can go. They literally have specials that you've been to Paris before. They'll have specials on the board, and they'll have lunch specials where they'll say you can pay 12 euros, 15 euros, and you can get a bottle of wine, red or white, no frills, just something from a local winery that they partnered with. So you get it's usually unlabeled. So you get a bottle of red or a bottle of white. You get one entree, one main, one dessert, and all that is covered in 15 euros per person.
I was going to say 12 to 15 euros.
12 to 15 euros.
Yeah.
You cannot even go to a pub here or the United States and be able to spend 15 euros
and 15
to get
euros
to get a meal.
And 15 euros for those of you listening, it'd be about 30, 35 Canadian bucks. Right?
No, less than that.
Less than that.
It'd be about 28 to 29 Canadian
so
dollars.
around 25, 30 bucks. Absolutely. I mean, the entree would cost that much.
So again, when we're going to talk about compensation, we have to, I've said this multiple times, and when we talk about wages and compensation and gratuity
relative to the country,
relative to the standard of living and the rate of inflation, we are way below. We are way below for the cost of living in this country. And when you talk about...
Well, our cost of living is higher. And we don't have the same standard of living. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
We absolutely do not. So when you're going to talk about...
Why are our costs so higher?
So when you're going to talk about, I don't know, but much like I've stated, we are not a country, or we are not an economy that is built around responsibility to the people. Business ethics almost is non-existent here. Whether you're talking about tech, whether you're talking about fashion, whether you're talking about automotive, any major industry you can think of, oil, etc., we don't answer to stakeholders. We answer to shareholders, and that is the issue with our economy as it stands. So when we're going to talk about these major leaders,
I would argue as a public affairs person that the stakeholders are very important. But you're right. The shareholders determine a lot of business strategy.
Period.
Yeah.
So
very good discussion, sir. I don't know how we've got to sort of wrap this up by bringing it back to three old men. Are they going to be in power in 10 years?
I don't think so.
The three old men, by the way, are Trump, who definitely won't be in power. Putin, I would bet, is definitely not going to be in power. Probably not alive either. Xi, I think it depends if he wants to be. But I think
Bibi.
And Bibi definitely not. No, I can't see Bibi. And Xi's even going to be.
I think Xi, yes. Bibi, no. I think he's going to have his comeuppance. Putin, I think Putin. Actually, the one thing that Putin does well that Trump hasn't is that Putin has already selected his successor. And not only has he selected his successor, but he's groomed him very well.
You are basing this on what?
That is based on insider information, and also information that has been reported by a few of independent press,
Comrade,
independent media.
You're a very good context because it's not an economist.
Well, like I said, independent media. When we look at Trump, he's not the type of person that looks. We are already going into midterms.
He doesn't look beyond the end of his nose.
He hasn't even endorsed or starting to groom just whisper the endorsement of a Republican candidate for presidency. So when it comes on to Trump,
that's going to be very interesting because the primary process next year will start that. But, of course, he's going to inject himself into who he'd like to see succeed.
Of course, no, so this is what he thinks.
Be fascinating.
He thinks the presidency is a monarchy, but that's a whole other conversation for a whole other podcast. So, as it relates to these
monarchy, not monarchy, it's malarkey and monarchy.
What did I say?
Monarchy.
And what is the word?
Monarchy.
And what did I say?
What's your next point? Monarchy.
Yeah, it's sorry. We didn't like
of course, Norman, you should not be mocking somebody's pronunciation of that word when you can't pronounce Benjamin Beep.
I may have poor pronunciations because you know what? I speak Netanyahu. I speak 3 languages, so I have multiple. I have a hodgepodge of accents, and that's okay. But
I've never tried to say. I've always heard that name being spoken. I've never tried to say it myself.
It is quite the tongue. It is quite a tongue twister. It really is. But with that being said, yeah, that's my takeaway on those 3 men. What do you think?
Well, I think they got to where they are because they were a certain type of personality who pushed, who were very, in many ways, self-centered and driven, and power hungry. And
they stay in power because they're power hungry.
And yeah, and I don't know if I like that, but it is what it is. And they're older. Question is, could somebody 20 years younger do that? I don't think so. Because there would have been more senior people in. It's always going to be the guys near the top.
With the right connections and the right backing, because at the end of the day...
Like an Obama?
I do believe that Trump is nothing more than a sock puppet. I don't believe that he's really running the show. I do believe that he's a sock puppet, but... that's a podcast for another time, which is actually on my list of things to discuss. But with that being said, any final words you want for the kids, for the people, for the days?
Watch the news. The stuff you see on TV and the stuff you don't. That was the last word.
I guess.
Well, you are the type of person that doesn't watch the news, but you watch the stuff that isn't on the news.
I'm sorry, but I just believe that the news is what I am being fed today by mainstream news sources such as CNN, CBS, Fox.
I agree.
Does not give me the full picture. And old school journalism, where people went out into the field, did the research, reported back, did interviews with hard-hitting, probing questions, does not exist today. And I want that. I want that. So I'm not going to go to somewhere and get what I don't need. So that's
the last word today.
So that's why where we get our news is different. And I'll leave that as is. With that being said, thank you for listening to today's episode. And if you've made it all the way to the end, follow us on Spotify.
You're a lucky guy if you have.
Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Daddy and Son Podcast. If you made it to the end, why don't you leave in the comment section a global emoji. Leave a planet Earth emoji to let us know that you made it to the end, so we know that you did. Remember, do that. Honestly, I'll be looking out to who made it to the end. Remember that we're also available on iHeartRadio, so go download the free iHeartRadio app and support the show. If you have any questions for Daddy, send them over to daddyandSonPodcast@gmail.com. That is daddyandSonPodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, sons, be good to your daddies.
And daddies, be kind to your sons.